Next up, we have our mobility and our movement assessments. So we're going to start with our passive assessments. So we're going to start with shoulder rotation, so internal and external rotation. So we'll start with your right arm here. As I'm doing this, I just want you to completely relax, be a dead weight for me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a block here, and this is going to prevent any of your other muscles from creating artificial mobility. So we can see here a little bit restricted on that internal rotation. Not too bad though. Probably about 10 degrees. Okay. And then while I'm on this right side, I'm just going to test flexion as well. So I'm going to go up straight there. I'm going to just block off the scapula, and then I want your thumb pointing towards the ground. Beautiful. And then we're just going to go straight back. If any of this hurts at all, just let me know, okay? And we got good range of motion in that flexion there, good. Do internal and external rotation on the left arm as well. So I'm creating that block. And much more restricted on that left side in the internal rotation there. Probably about 45 degrees worth of restriction. Then we'll do flexion as well while we're here. Ooh, come over here. Good range of motion with the flexion though. And then the final thing that we're going to test with the shoulders is just going to be extension. So arms down by your side for me, Sid. And then I want you to just point your thumbs in there. We're going to create a block through here. And then again. So we've got good range of motion on this right side. And we've got good range of motion on this left side as well. Okay, so next up we are going to test Sydney's thoracic mobility. So she's already in position here. I'm just going to get you to move your knees up just a little bit. Good. And now what I want you to do is I want you to reach across as far as you can with that hand. Good. So we've got her hips nice and stacked there. So I'm going to come in and create a block on her low back. And what I want you to do, Sydney, is you're just going to very slowly create a nice big arch around, coming all the way around here, okay? Follow it with your eyes. Go nice and slow. Good. And then we'll come back again. I just want to test her thoracic mobility without the shoulder being involved. So this time you're going to come across this way. Just come across your body like that. Good. So we can stay a little bit restricted, but that's a good range of motion. We're going to go again. This time we'll start with that semicircle again. Go all the way around for me. Very good. And even better mobility on this side. And we'll do that second test where we take the shoulder out of play. Good. And very good range of motion through the thoracic. Still a little bit restricted in the chest there. We're going to test Sydney's hip rotation. So we're going to test internal and external rotation. Hip extension, and then we're going to do what's called a hip scour test as well. Okay, so this leg can go straight for now, and the first thing that we're going to test is just going to be external rotation at the knee. Okay, so again, if anything hurts, just let me know. So you're at about 45 degrees range of motion there, which is a little bit restricted. I'm looking for about 60 degrees, and then we're going to go external rotation, or internal rotation, sorry. We've got good range of motion on the internal rotations, about 45 degrees, which is what we're looking for before we go into the hip scour. So we're going to test that internal, external rotation. And again, about 45 degrees, so a little bit restricted in external rotation. And 45 degrees for the internal rotation, which is okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a hip scour test. So this is going to allow me to kind of create a roadmap of what your hip looks like, and it's going to tell us where you can potentially squat to depth-wise. So we can see we can get a nice deep squat there, and then the other thing I'm looking for is what's going to be a good position for you to squat in. So you can see as soon as I kind of externally rotate the knee there, Sydney's hips are coming up. So that tells me that a narrow squat is probably going to be better suited for you. If I try and go any wider, it's really restricted through here, and we can see Sydney's other leg moving. So a wide squat is not going to be advantageous for you. We'll test the other side as well. Again, we're able to get nice and deep. Good, about just inside shoulder width is going to be a good position for you. Okay, I'll get you to flip over. So we're going to test hip extension now. So first thing we're going to test is the left side here. So I'm just going to place my knee just on your low back very lightly there, just to create a block. I'm going to get you to bend your leg for me. And we're very restricted. I can barely get Sydney's knee up off the ground there. Let's go straight leg and have a look. So we can see there much more range of motion. So that suggests tight quads, which I already knew. Sydney's got a little bit of anterior pelvic tilt there. So that's something that we're going to address in her programming. Okay, so next up we have our hip slide test. As you can see, we have a lovely audience for this one. So Sydney's already got her feet in position where we determined would be best for her in that hip scour test. So what I'm going to get you to do, Sydney, is I just want you to slide your hips back as far as you can. And I'm looking to see where we're going to break in form. As we can see, Sydney can get really deep. Now I want you to slide those shoulders forward as well. So a little bit of flexion in that low back, but that's okay because we're not loaded. We're at home, so we don't have a dowel here, but if Sydney, if you come back up for me, we're going to do that test again. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look from the top this time, just to make sure there's no any shifts in the hips or anything like that. So go ahead, Sydney. And really good. And we can see Sydney's having a hard time getting her feet totally flat against the wall here. So that may suggest that there is some ankle mobility issues going on. Next up, we're just going to test Sydney's ankle range of motion. So what I'm going to get you to do is I just want you to place just your toes on the book here. And then you're going to try and slide your knee as far forwards as you can for me. Is that as far as you can go?
That's such a close spot.
What?
Don't touch the back of my knees, I'm ticklish.
Okay,
there.
let's go. So what I'm going to get you to do is just place your toes on the book here. And then I want you to track your knee as far forwards as you can, with keeping your heel in contact. So we can see, as we predicted from that hip slide test, Sydney is very restricted in the ankles. We can't actually get her knee out over the top of the book. So let's get a look at the other side, Sid. So that was the right side. Then we're gonna look at the left side, and actually even worse on the left side. So this is an area that we're gonna address in Sydney's programming. We're then just gonna come from the back, and we're gonna see if Sydney's Achilles moves. So go ahead and do the test again, Sydney. And good, let's go other side. Your feet look dirty. And Sydney's Achilles look fine to me. Do the active test. So first up, we're gonna test Sydney's squat clearing. So we don't have a dowel, so we're gonna skip over the overhead squat. We're gonna go straight to a prisoner squat. So Sydney, what you're gonna do is you're going to lock your fingers together like this, and you're gonna place your hands behind your head, tuck your elbows in for me, and then I want you to just squat naturally, okay? So a little wider with the feet, and you can open out those toes a little bit, tuck your elbows in for me, and go ahead and squat naturally. Good, and then if you just turn to the side for me as well. So we can see here, she's just turned to the side, there we go. So we can see here, Sydney's struggling for a lot of range of motion, so go ahead again. Now that's likely due to the lack of ankle mobility there. So if you go to a bodyweight squat now, so you're just gonna go there and go ahead again. So a little bit easier for her, but I do think it's the ankle mobility that's restricting her. And then also we've got the hips as well. She likes to sit in that anterior pelvic tilt. So the next test we're going to do is going to be a push-up. So with the push-up, we are looking to see if Sydney can have global stability. So is she able to create that alignment and keep it? And then the other thing that I'm looking for as well is, do her scapulars wing at all? Do they have good stability when she's going down in her push-up? So we're going to do push-ups off the knees for Sydney. Good, so squeeze your glutes a little bit tighter. Hips up a little bit for me, hips up a little bit. Good, tuck that rib cage down. So you're gonna exhale, right? Exhale, good. And then the next breath is gonna set the brace. Good, and now go ahead with your push-up. Good, let's do a few more. Good, so I can see that Sydney is able to keep that global stability, and her scapulars look pretty good. A little bit of winging at the top, but not a major concern. Good. I have some seated T-spine rotations, so we're testing Sydney's thoracic spine control. So Sydney, you're going to place your hands behind your head. I'm just going to put my knee in your low back there, and then you're going to rotate to the right for me. We're looking for about a 40-degree range of rotation. So that's a little bit restricted. Let's go to the left as well. Good, and we're going to come to the right. We're going to come again. What I want you to do, Sid, is you're going to take a big deep breath in right now. Big deep breath in, and as you exhale, you're going to rotate for me. Good, so we're getting a little bit more range of motion as we do that, but still a little bit restricted to the right. And then let's go left again, same thing with the breath. Excellent, good job. We have wall side, so Sydney, I'm going to get you to sit down on the floor for me. You're going to place your low back flat against the wall. You're going to roll your shoulders back and down so they're in contact with the wall as well. And then we're going to bring our hands up like this. And what we're looking to do is we're looking to fully extend the arms up, making sure that the rib cage stays down and our wrists stay in contact with the wall. So come up and go down again for me. Good, keep that rib cage tucked down. A little bit trickier when we do that, and go ahead again. Good, and we can see when we keep that rib cage tucked down, we are a little bit restricted and arms and hands are coming well off the wall there. So a little bit to work on there for Sydney. We have our global extension and global flexion tests. So what we're doing with these tests is we are looking to see if all of our muscle and our fascia are working together in unison. So what Sydney's going to do is she's going to put hands a little bit back for me, further back for me, and she's essentially just going to glute bridge up as high as she can. So we can see she's not quite able to get that full extension. We knew that from our tests earlier, so we can squeeze it a little bit higher. Good, it's super tough for her. Okay, and now we're going to test global flexion. So this one you're going to lie on your back, Sydney. You're going to go hands together like this, tuck the elbows in. Now you're going to bring your knees and elbows in contact with each other. And what you're going to try and do is you're going to try and keep your elbows and your knees in contact. Lock your feet out for me, and we're going to push you down, okay?
You're freaking me up.
Good, just about made it. Now it gets tricky. We're going to head back down. Good, doing well. Good, and we're able to maintain global flexion. Good job, Sydney.